one of the teachings that I've always been fascinated with, like genuinely fascinated with, which I always felt was quite abstract and a bit mystical and unobtainable, was equanimity. So fortunately, the huge explosion of mindfulness in the West, perhaps 70s onwards, thanking John Kabat-Zinn, among others, for bringing it to a more accessible format. I was able to study, when I got the chance to do a PhD, mindfulness, but also notice that it perhaps isn't the finished product or article. Maybe we should call it product. But, nothing's never really at an end point. Everything just kind of generates more and more opportunities for discussion and learning. So for me, this was centered around the construct of equanimity, which when I started reading around mindfulness, literature and science, there was not much about it. In fact, almost nothing. A few papers had introduced it, but there were no psychometric scales to measure it. Psychometric scale being commonly used in quantitative research as a way of kind of assessing someone's psychological ability in a certain area. There's a lot of mindfulness scales that focus around attention and awareness, perhaps overly biased towards attention, and none so much in the non-judgmental realm. And non-judgmental moves us towards equanimity a little bit. It was only last week I was reading around spiritual narcissism, and it's quite an interesting thing here that just alludes to the superficial elements of mindfulness and yoga practices. Perhaps a lot of people give off, either intentionally or unintentionally. I'm sure mostly unintentionally, but perhaps it falls short of some of its kind of more profound meaning. And some mindfulness, it can amplify the egos of the insecure and the fragile, rather than really kind of generating that more profound change. So I think it does require a bit more self-analysis. So self in relation to motivation behind why we're being mindful, because you could just use mindfulness to become an incredible sniper or an incredible bank robber if you wanted. Because, the components of mindfulness being acceptance, attention, awareness, focus, it doesn't necessarily require an ethical component. So it's useful to kind of bring into discussion different things like equanimity, different attitudes or states of mind that can ensure that it follows a kind of more compassionate path. And so I'm very much interested in the mindfulness based, whatever it is that develops self beyond just mere superficial attention and awareness.